What's up, guys? Welcome back. Welcome back. Dr. Jaws here, and tonight we are doing a special episode on shark husbandry. So last week I don't think we picked a new species, and we didn't really pick a topic. But I figured this would be kind of like a cool surprise topic to cover, since it's a really interesting field that we don't really talk about too much. But it's how to take care of sharks in a professional public aquarium setting. I think there's a lot of cool material to review tonight, both in terms of the aquariums that house sharks and what the requirements are, and then also how to take care of sharks in the sense that there's actually published husbandry manuals. There's actually official guidelines and recommendations in terms of like how you can best take care of sharks. So we'll take a look at that in more detail tonight, but really excited to explore. And plus, we'll be seeing a bunch of different aquariums too. Just a random selection of aquariums in North America, both the United States and Canada, that have sharks. So this clip right here, this is actually from the National Aquarium in Baltimore, Maryland. So this is the aquarium that I will sometimes dive in, not in the shark tank, but in the Atlantic Coral Reef tank. But this is a pretty cool exhibit that they have called Shark Alley, where you can clearly see sand tiger sharks. So this is one swimming at the top. It's a critically endangered species that is local to pretty much all the U.S. coastline on the East Coast. We have a beautiful couple nurse sharks on the bottom. Oop. And a stupid ad. Let me get rid of this crap. There we go. Sorry, nurse sharks. So two beautiful nurse sharks on the bottom. These are really cool species that are a little bit more warm water oriented. So they can be found in the mid-Atlantic of the United States, but they're a little bit more penchant to be in Florida or the Carolinas and the Gulf of Mexico. So, and those are clearly like docile sharks that spend all their time, or most of their time, resting on the seabed. It's really cool to compare the nurse sharks with the sand tiger shark. In terms of how they move very differently. They're comparably sized species. Both species are actually pretty large. But nurse sharks are buccal pumpers that rest on the seabed and actively pump water over their gills, while sand tiger sharks are very active swimmers. Although sand tigers can remain motionless, but behaviorally they like to be a little bit more active, at least in captive settings. Down here, this is probably the coolest animal they have in the tank. Or one of the most exciting in the sense that I take that back, because I mean I love the sharks. The sharks are amazing, but that was a small tooth sawfish. So that is a kind of ray, technically, but it is one of the most endangered or critically endangered elasmobranchs in the United States. So it's a really important species, and I've seen that individual a couple times before, and I was just blown away that they even had a sawfish, just because they're so rare and so critically endangered in the sense that they spend most of their time in the shallow inshore areas, and they get entangled in a lot of fishing gear. So it's really great that there's focus on the species and places that have the species on display. But also as part of a conservation program. Sand tiger sharks are very popular. Oh, there's another sawfish right there on the bottom, so really cool to see him resting on the seabed. Sand tiger sharks are very popular in aquariums around the country. Oh, there's a sandbar shark right there. Look at that. So another an endangered species. There's another sawfish, so critically endangered sawfish. But sand tiger sharks are very popular in aquariums in the United States. And what's interesting is that there is a network of those aquariums that help kind of with breeding, like breeding programs for the species. So it's mostly, I think, with like to keep the species within aquariums. Another sandbar shark swimming past, also a very active swimmer. But as sand tigers are also critically endangered sharks, having some of the population in captivity, there's the two sand tigers right here, might be beneficial as far as just kind of like as a backup in terms of conservation, where at least there's some genetic population that is in a known location. If there was ever a need to try to help rebuild the population, maybe introducing captive sand tigers into the wild potentially. So there's a ray in the background. It's kind of hard to tell which one that is, but I think that ray is an Atlantic stingray, but it's a little tricky to tell from this angle. But overall, Shark Alley at the National Aquarium in Baltimore, it's a pretty cool exhibit. It's very large, and it's sort of like a donut, where the tank is a donut around a staircase. So you can kind of walk through, and you get a sense of it a little bit here as people are walking through. But you kind of walk through, and on all sides you're surrounded by sharks and rays, and it's a pretty amazing thing to see. So if you haven't been to the Baltimore Aquarium. So, more details on, oh, not this one, here we go. More details on the National Aquarium in Baltimore. So this is the exterior facade of the building. Or not facade, but this is actually right on Baltimore Harbor, and it's a pretty huge complex too. They have bottlenose dolphins, a lot of cool different experiences here and there, and a really unique array of species. We got mantis shrimp, blacktip reef sharks, Atlantic puffins, and some beautiful reef fish. I do want to take a look at the sharks that they have. So, National Aquarium has, oh, this is really great, an Australian whipray, a blacktip reef shark. So these guys are really cool, little guys, Indo-Pacific species. Horned shark, which is a charismatic species of the west coast of the United States. So everybody knows and loves the horned sharks. And I misspoke. The sawfish that they have is a large tooth sawfish. So there's two kinds of sawfish, a small tooth and a large tooth. So the one in the Baltimore Aquarium is a large tooth sawfish. We also have nurse sharks, so the big squashy species that likes to lay on the seabed. A rough-tailed stingray. The sand tiger shark, Harcarus taurus. The sandbar shark. And then finally the tasseled woebegone on the far right. So, I want to learn more about the sand tiger shark in particular. I'd love to see the notes on this species because it is a critically endangered species. Beautiful shark, really fearsome looking set of jaws, but this is a fish-eating kind of shark, so its evolution is kind of more oriented towards hunting small fishes just because the teeth are shaped in a long and narrow form, kind of like a fish hook, so really great for capturing slippery fishes as prey items. Sand tiger shark is a large coastal species easily recognized by its pointed snout and mouthful of narrow, pointed teeth, which are always visible. Despite their intimidating appearance, they are not aggressive towards humans unless threatened. Adult sand tiger sharks' bodies are light brown to gray above and paler below. Young sand tiger sharks have small dark spots that become less obvious as they mature. Sand tiger's reproduction is unique because the first baby shark to develop in utero eats or kills its siblings before birth, so this is intrauterine cannibalism. Note from the caretaker, sand tiger sharks at the National Aquarium are pole-fed a variety of fresh and frozen fish totaling about 2% of their body weight each week. Interesting. Some quick facts. I love that they break this down. Did you know that sand tiger sharks adjust their buoyancy by gulping and burping air? So it's kind of a cool feature, and it actually is a really nice nod to the fact that this is a very shallow water species. The fact that it could spend so much time close to the surface to the point where it actually incorporates air as part of its lifestyle, where the reason why sand tiger sharks gulp and burp air is to help with buoyancy, but also help them remain motionless and kind of float in the water as they hover around shipwrecks or remain motionless around prey items like schools of fish. Range of sand tiger sharks, widely distributed in all warm temperate to tropical coastal seas except the central and eastern Pacific. They're found near the shore in mid-water and at or near the bottom depths of 625 feet, so it's pretty shallow overall. So it's an exclusively sunlit zone species almost. Sand tiger sharks eat a variety of fishes, including smaller rays and sharks. They have narrow pointed teeth that are used to bite and hold on to prey before they swallow it whole. Maximum total length is 10.5 feet. Maximum weight about 350 pounds, so pretty large shark. Population status, I like how they put conservation alert. The sand tiger shark, and this actually is outdated, the sand tiger shark is listed as vulnerable. This is actually a critically endangered species. globally by the IUCN and is critically endangered in some parts of the world. The sand tiger is one of the lowest known reproductive rates among sharks, giving birth to only 1 or 2 large pups every 2 to 3 years. As a result, their population growth and recovery from overfishing are slow. And then as far as predators go, commercial and sport fisheries take a heavy toll on sand tiger sharks. Their meat is sold fresh, frozen, smoked, dried, and for fish meal. The liver is used for oil fins. Fins are dried for the shark fin trade, and the hide is used for leather. Aside from humans, their natural predators are primarily other large sharks. So this would be like bull sharks, tiger sharks, and white sharks. So we won't review like every shark like this, but sand tiger is a good species to hone in on just because this is a critically endangered shark that is very popular in aquariums in the United States. So I think what we can do is dive into what I really wanted to showcase tonight, the Elazabrink Husbandry Manual. So this is actually a really cool guide on how to take care of sharks and like the nuances that go into taking care of them in an aquarium setting for public aquaria. So this is for educational aquariums that help bring public awareness or increase public awareness of sharks and their conservation needs. And also aquariums can have these breeding programs that help in a case of a critically endangered species kind of help have a known population or a known gene pool that may be beneficial for the species survival overall. But I think it's kind of interesting to see in a public aquarium setting, things that affect a shark's health and observations that have developed over the decades in terms of like what are best practices for taking care of sharks and what are not. Like what are things that kind of hinder their success in aquaria. Some sharks do very well in large aquariums, like the sand tigers and sandbars. And honestly, on the East Coast, sand tigers, sandbars, and nurse sharks, those are like the staples of most aquariums, or most large aquariums on the East Coast have those 3 species, I feel. Because like the ones I would visit, ranging from the National Aquarium to the Virginia Aquarium to the North Carolina Aquariums, it's always those 3 species. So they do really well. Famously, some sharks like the white shark do very poorly in aquaria. They're not supposed to be in aquariums. There's just something about their biology just doesn't really fit in that kind of setting. So I'm excited to learn more about this. I mentioned it a couple times on the channel, but I used to take care of a couple different not sharks, but like fishes and invertebrates in three different aquaria settings. So the first 2 being the Seacoast Science Center in New Hampshire, and then the Vims Aquarium in Gloucester Point, and then the last one being a small kind of private collection for the College of William and Mary in Williamsburg. So, which was used for research. So this is the Inverts Aquarium. So. But having that experience has been a lot of fun, where you kind of see fish behaviors and you see just like little details and nuances on like how to approach animals in a way that is comprehensive, and you have a really good understanding of the fact that it's not just like keeping them in a spot with a well-designed tank and food. It's so many things like water temperature, water quality, water chemistry. Like timing, lighting, there's so many things that go into it. So, without further ado, I think it'll be cool to dive into the Elazabrink Husbandry Manual, which includes how to care for sharks. Kind of like, skim through things that stand out and see what we can see. This is the second version of this. I've read parts of the first version, but I haven't seen this update from 2017, so fairly recent. So I think with that, we'll just kind of get started. I won't read everything verbatim, but it has been over a decade since the publication of the first Elazabrink Husbandry Manual. In the intervening years, progress in the field of Elazabrink husbandry has been impressive, with noteworthy advances in applied clinical techniques, diagnostic imaging, nutrition, behavioral conditioning, reproduction within aquariums, and collaborative field research. Researchers frequently cite the manual as an invaluable resource as aided in the pursuit of these endeavors. Let's see. So it looks like this was the announcement of a second International Elazabrink Husbandry Symposium, and the publication of the second manual sparked immediate interest and anticipation. Hosted by the Monterey Bay Aquarium, the symposium attracted 230 attendees from 24 countries. It looks like the manual is kind of their results. So, let's see. Oh, and actually, a lot of interesting editors of the manual. So we got the Georgia Aquarium, which is famous for having the whale sharks. And actually, let's just take a peek. I pulled up a lot of aquariums, but I should have included this one. Just because the whale shark exhibit is particularly famous. There's only a few aquariums in the world that have whale sharks, which is the largest shark in the world, and this is one of them, the Georgia Aquarium. So we'll do featured species. We'll do whale shark. Oh, they have a tiger shark. I'm shocked they have a tiger shark. Wow. So beautiful kind of side view of the whale shark, that gorgeous, easily identifiable patternation of the white spots and the black dorsal coloration. It's so cool. Size is 18 to 32 feet, so enormous species. And apparently you can kind of see the Ocean Voyager exhibit live. So this is the live cam of the whale shark exhibit. It's amazing that we can actually see this right now. And there he is in the background. So there's the whale shark cruising in the upper left corner. We also have a lot of great sharks in here. We have a zebra shark in the bottom right, a black tip reef shark on the middle right, and that one's actually kind of chonky. We have a manta ray or a devil ray. It's hard to tell which species it is on the bottom. Whale shark is facing the camera. This is so cool. And this tank is enormous. When you think of like the zebra shark on the bottom is about 6 feet. Looks like we have a guitar fish in the background, but that whale shark is amazing. Look at that. Some pretty large Jack Crevalle too. Pork fish on the right. I can't tell if that's a guitar fish on the bottom right or if that is... Yeah, that looks like a guitar fish. We have spade fish in the middle right here. Sandbar shark coming from left to right, so that dorsal fin on the bottom of the screen going right. So what a great exhibit. Wow, so much going on here. So many animals. Beautiful spotted eagle ray coming from left to right. Tail is a little bit shortened, but gorgeous, gorgeous eagle ray, looking like in good condition too. Sandbar shark going from right to left. There's another sandbar shark coming into view. More Jack Crevalle or Crevalle Jack. Those big fishes right in the front of the camera. So really, really cool exhibit. So I've never been to the Georgia Aquarium, sadly, but definitely want to go someday just to see this. This is just an incredible, incredible place. Sandbar shark. Oh, sandbar shark doing a turn. Now the reason why I got interested in that is, all the animals in the tank are hand fed, or fed in some way, shape, or form, where there's a controlled feeding for them, but sharks are known to eat fish in the tank sporadically. Like if a shark feels like it, they will definitely go after their tank mates, and that's just something that happens. So, which is pretty interesting. So I thought that sandbar shark was going to go after that spadefish, but I guess he would pass up on it. But really, really beautiful footage. I am going to post this link in the chat just for future viewers to check it out, because it's a pretty spectacular sight. Last thing I want to see is I really would love to see the notes on the tiger shark. I've never seen a tiger shark in an aquarium, and I've never heard of a tiger shark in an aquarium too. So that's really kind of astounding. Let's see, featured species, tiger shark. So tiger shark can be about 16 feet or 1,400 pounds, which is huge, insane. Let's see. Diet and feeding. One of the most diverse diets of any sharks. Consists of many species of bony fish. Sharks raise marine mammals such as seals and dolphins, marine reptiles such as turtles and sea snakes, invertebrates such as crustaceans, cephalopods and jellies, and seabirds. It's kind of like to see sharks predators of the deep. So apparently the tiger shark is in a different tank than the whale shark. Oh, here we go. So we got these different tank. There's a sand tiger shark. So same as the National Aquarium that we saw in Baltimore. There's another sand tiger shark here too. So this is already a really cool exhibit. This is also very sizable too. Yeah, I'm shocked that there's tiger sharks in this. I'm not sure what this bait ball is. I'm not sure what the school. Oh, that is. Well, that's a shark, but I can't tell what species that is swimming right in front of the camera. Wow, this is incredible. Oh, that looks like a sandbar shark. It's hard to tell, but based on the dorsal fin, that looked like a sandbar shark. Wow, there's a hammerhead. I think it's a scallop. Well, it could be a great. It's hard. I think actually that might be a scalloped. That might be a scalloped. Sand tiger shark again in the bottom right. Okay, I'm so excited to see this hammerhead. Definitely want to see it make another close pass. It's so cool. It's a great camera. That might be a great. The dorsal fin is really high, which is typical for a great hammerhead, but the head looks a little bit arc. It's kind of like a scalloped hammerhead. There's another sand tiger shark swimming into view. There's the hammerhead in the back, hoping he comes back around. Still don't see the tiger shark. Not quite yet. There he is. Oh, that is a great hammerhead. That's a great hammerhead. Oh, wow. What a sight. I'll give this a couple. And that one. Pretty sure that's a great hammerhead still. Yeah, great and scallop being sometimes a little tricky to tell apart. But it's really just the size and dorsal fins. That's another sand tiger shark. Great shot sand tiger shark too. That's another sand tiger shark. I'll give us a couple more minutes and I'll get back to the manual just because I don't see the tiger in here. Really cool tank, but I'm not seeing the tiger shark yet. Sand tigers and tigers are pretty easy to tell apart. They're in completely different orders. Sand tigers being lambda-forms, and tigers being carcharodontiforms. Sand tigers kind of have that bulbous snout. Look at that. A very big conical head. The two dorsal fins are equal in size and very far back on the body, and they have this kind of like billowing elegance to them. They have this like really creepy, fearsome-looking mouth, but their fins are really beautiful. Tiger sharks are a little bit more robust and a little bit more elongated in their shape. Their upper caudal lobe of the dorsal fin is a bit longer. Their first dorsal fin is further ahead in the body. Second dorsal fin is further back. And the first dorsal fin is much larger than the second. I feel like I see a shark kind of sticking to the bottom, and that could be the tiger shark. It's really hard to tell. Another sand tiger. These sand tigers are actually swimming pretty actively. Usually sand tigers are kind of slow. That one... Oh, who's this guy? Who is this guy? Oh, this one's swimming into the camera. This is a silver-tip shark? Which is a really beautiful species. Was not expecting that. Silver tips have really great coloration on their dorsal fins and pectoral fins, where it's hence their name. They're kind of a metallic white looking color, almost giving off a silvery appearance. Another sand tiger shark, getting very comfortable with the bait ball. The sand tiger shark and the hammerhead, look at this. Now this is interesting observing tank behavior. Sand tiger shark and hammerhead swam into each other. So this is a yielding example where the sand tiger seems to have yielded to the hammerhead. So certain shark species, they will have dominance over others. And not entirely sure why that is, but there will be certain shark species that will yield to others. So sand tigers yield to bull sharks in captivity. There's a fin on the bottom. It's hard to see. Yeah, no, that looks like a silver-tip shark. But sand tiger sharks have been... Oh, there we go. Beautiful shot of... Yeah, that's a silver-tip shark. It's so cool. Sand tigers have been known... Oh, there's that hammerhead again. Have been known to yield to bull sharks in captivity. But it was really cool to see yielding behavior with the hammerhead. And there's one sand tiger shark in this tank that seems very interested in the bait ball, because he's been making a lot of close passes around it. So, and he's probably going to eat one of the fishes, and it's just something that they do. Even though they're fed regularly on a schedule, they will eat their tank mates. Ah, such a cool hammerhead swimming into the camera. Oh, look at that. Okay, confirmed. That is a great hammerhead. That is definitely a great hammerhead. The head is pretty straight. The dorsal fin is very tall and sickle-shaped, so that is certainly a great hammerhead shark. So really cool to see in captivity. The tiger shark, can't see it in this video, so I don't know if maybe it got moved or maybe it's in a different part of the tank, but I'm going to click away from this live cam so we can take a look at the manual again. But still, really cool exhibit with a lot of really interesting species here. So I think what we'll do is I'll put this camera into the chat as well. So the first one was the whale shark, and the second one is the general shark tank. But really cool to see the diversity of species here. So go Georgia Aquarium. That's really incredible. Another great view of that sand tiger shark coming into the camera. But really incredible collection. So definitely one of the best I've ever heard of in a captive setting. So really phenomenal exhibit. All right. So getting back to the manual, other aquariums that participated in kind of creating guidelines. You got New England Aquarium, Columbus Zoo and Aquarium, Moat Marine Lab, very famous. Monterey Bay Aquarium, also famous. Vancouver Aquarium. And it looks like, more. Disney's Animal Science and Environment. Virginia Aquarium, woo! This is a wonderful place that I've visited many times. I love the Virginia Aquarium. The Ripley's network of aquariums. So there's one in Myrtle Beach, the Smokies in Canada, Oceanario de Lisboa, Sea Life, Tenji, Dallas World Aquarium, Dynasty Marine Associates, FMA, TJP. And it looks like that's it. There's a couple other sponsors here. So, what's this disclaimer? The Shark Husbandry Manual to Recent Advances in the Care of Sharks Raised and Their Relatives is intended to present the current scientific and experimental understandings of the captive care of lazarynx and aquariums or research settings. Some contributions lend themselves to scientific rigor, where material presented is supported by peer-reviewed literature. Other contributions are based out of necessity on the collective anecdotal experience of working professionals because relevant scientific literature is scant or non-existent. So this is really cool because just want to emphasize knowledge is not privatized just to science or just to research. There's other sources of knowledge that are not quite, in the lab or in like in an academic setting. And the biggest one I could think of is anybody who spends time on the water. So, anybody who does like marine life tours who are not necessarily trained scientists, they're still going to be out there, or scuba divers. They're still going to be out there and they're still going to be making observations that, or acquiring knowledge that just otherwise wouldn't have been acquired. And this is a great example of that here, where those who professionally care for sharks and rays, they may not be scientifically trained as researchers per se, but they are actively are in a unique position to observe behaviors or kind of see patterns that really add to the body of knowledge. So I really appreciate that this manual is a mix of both peer-reviewed literature, but also observations from experience. So let's see. Wow. Okay. Right out the gate, biology of the white shark in Aquaria. I'm shocked, and I'm very curious to see what that's going to be about. Notes on husbandry of whale sharks, husbandry of the tiger shark. Oh wow, collection of Greenland sharks, blue sharks. Wow. Okay. So I think we could just go chronologically because these are already incredible. So here we go. Chapter 1, Biology of the White Shark, Conroe-Nicholls in Aquaria. So this is shocking because this species famously does not do well in Aquaria at all. Every white shark I've ever heard of in an aquarium has died in that setting or has had to be released. So very curious about this. So here we go. Since 2004, the Monterey Bay Aquarium, California, has displayed 6 juvenile white sharks, Conroe-Nicholls, in the 3,800 square meter Outer Bay exhibit. Upon capture, the sharks, 132 to 164 centimeters total length, were held in a 13,800 meter square cubic meter ocean pen. To initiate feeding prior to transport. Oxygen consumption rates of free-swimming white sharks during transports were analyzed, yielding one of the highest reported mass-specific muscle oxygen consumptions for any shark species. While on display, 4 of the white sharks fed consistently at a daily ration of 747 plus or minus 46 grams. One shark did not feed and was released after 11 days. Okay, so there we go. This is what I'm talking about. Another shark fed intermittently and was released after 55 days, but died immediately post-release. This is exactly what I'm talking about. This is a really, really difficult species. Mean mass growth rate for white shark at the Monterey Bay Aquarium was 71.6 kilograms per year, with a corresponding mean dietary gross conversion efficiency of 27.1%. The mean length growth rate was approximately twice the rate estimated for published von Bertalanffy growth function. All white sharks were fitted with pop-up archival satellite tags upon release, which provided evidence of post-release survivorship. So it looks like 4 of these white sharks, or maybe 5, were okay, but not for confined to a captive setting. Let's see. Although the white shark, Conroe-Nicholls, is the focus of much interest from both the research community and the public, the display and study of a living specimen has been difficult to achieve. The white shark is a large top-level predator and has a consumption distribution in temperate and cosmopolitan distribution in temperate tropical seas. It is a member of the family Lambdae and is a regional endotherm using vascular countercurrent heat exchangers to maintain elevated tissue temperatures. We talked about red mirabilis before, but white sharks, mako sharks, porgy beagles, salmon sharks, they are able to raise their body temperature higher than the surrounding seawater, which allows them to be fast in that environment, and they need to be that fast in order to hunt their prey items, which are these fast and agile seals in cold water. So, many studies have focused on the predatory behavior, reproductive biology, age and growth, and more recently, large-scale migrations of white sharks. However, because of the difficulty in obtaining large specimens, researchers have not been able to study the metabolic demands and feeding rates of white sharks, which are theorized to be very high due to their elevated tissue temperatures and increased activity levels. Similarly, until recent decades, very little was known about neonates and juveniles of the species in the Northeast Pacific Ocean. Historically, the long-term display of a living white shark has been attempted by many public aquaria with little success, this is what I'm talking about, due to the difficulty of acquiring healthy specimens and the challenges of transport. However, since 2004, the Monterey Bay Aquarium has displayed 6 juvenile white sharks. Furthermore, the advent of satellite archival tag technology has enabled a study of swimming behavior and a thermal niche of young of the year and juvenile white sharks in the Southern California bight. This information facilitated the development of a program to further study juvenile white sharks in the wild and to place living specimens on display at the aquarium where they could be viewed by millions of visitors. The Monterey Bay Aquarium White Shark Program consisted of a multi-year incremental approach to the study of young of the year in the Southern California Bight Nursery area, which yielded important recommendations for the conservation of this species. In addition, the opportunity to handle live young of the year white sharks displayed in the 3,800 cubic meter Outer Bay exhibit allowed aquarium staff to record oxygen consumption rates during transport, record feeding and growth, and determine energy budgets for the species. Let's see. Interesting. So white sharks are captured in the Southern California Bight between August and 2004 and 2011. After capture, white sharks are transported to a 40 meter diameter, 13,800 cubic meter ocean pen anchored along the coast of Malibu to allow the sharks to recover from capture stress and begin feeding prior to transport to the aquarium. While they were in the ocean pen, the aquarium staff offered food items like chub mackerel, white croaker, eastern Pacific bonito, and Chinook salmon by suspending them with a monofilament from 2 lines intersecting at the top of the enclosure in an attempt to initiate feeding by the sharks. After a feeding event, the team of divers verified whether missing food items had broken free from the monofilament or had been bitten and then rejected by the sharks, which occasionally occurred. Observation of the condition of the shark and the evasive behavior of the shark towards the divers also helped to determine the shark was alert and ready for transport. So interesting. This is so interesting. When a white shark was deemed a candidate for display, the ocean pen was pursed up by a team of commercial fishers to allow aquarium staff to recapture the shark and commence transport. Sharks scheduled for transport were not fed for at least 24 hours prior to being removed from the ocean pen. Wow. So really interesting figure here. So you have the ocean pen where the white sharks were kept. Oh, I see. So, yeah, there wasn't 11 meters in depth. So, the sharks were kind of confined to this area. They couldn't swim beneath the pen. And they were fed regularly within the pen. So it's very, very interesting. Only one shark was ever transported at a time. Four of the 6 sharks were ultimately released directly from Monterey due to their large size resulting from high growth rates in human care. Let's see. Here we go. This is one of them. So this is a baby white shark. Young of the year white shark. Young of the year means this is a shark pup that was birthed within or born within the year. So this is not even a year old, and it's really amazing to think about. Comparing sharks to humans. A year-old human baby is completely helpless, but a year-old shark is fully ready to go. They're fully developed. They're ready to hunt immediately after birth. And white sharks, in particular, when they're born, they have these kind of narrower teeth that are perfectly designed to help capture fish as a prey item. And then as they get older, their teeth start to get wider and wider, which helps them hunt larger larger prey items like seals. So. But here we go, a young of the year white shark swimming in a pelagic fish transport tank on the transit to Monterey Bay Aquarium. So there's a couple indicators that help show if the individual is doing well or poorly. This individual looks pretty okay, but indicators that would to look for would be any unusual shape in the fins. So I see a little droopiness on the top of the dorsal fin. and then the lower caudal fin a little bit as well, but nothing too bad. And then coloration. The color looks good on this individual. If a individual of any kind of shark and fish species, if they're vibrant in color, then they're healthy. But if they're dull or muted, that means that they're not doing as well. So. Interesting chart on routine metabolic rate. So it's comparing the metabolic rate of white sharks versus other species. So white shark is really high, where they have a high metabolic rate and they're also much larger, and that's indicated by the green dots here. Whereas if you compare it to tuna, which are in red, kind of significantly higher than the rate of tuna. Mako sharks in blue, mako sharks and tuna have comparable metabolic rates, and very different from lemon sharks and hammerhead sharks, which the rate to mass ratio, or metabolic rate to mass ratio, is very low. So comparatively, it's pretty interesting. After introduction to the Outer Bay exhibit, most young of the year white sharks fed within 7 days and continue feeding regularly. To initiate feeding for some sharks, live foods such as S. japonicus or California skate, Raja inarata were offered near the surface. Feeding was occasionally difficult to initiate because of the interspecific variation of white shark swimming behavior. For example, one shark spent the majority of its time near the bottom of the Outer Bay exhibit for the first month on display. Feeding relatively small young of the year white sharks in an exhibit with larger Galapagos sharks, scalped hammerhead sharks, and pelagic telos such as T. orientalis, T. albicaris, and common dolphin fish, with BM in the body masses in the range of 40 to 140 kilograms, pose significant challenges due to the aggressive competition for food. Therefore, food introduction to white sharks requires surface pole feeding to reduce the potential. So this is when you adhere bait to the end of a long pole, and you, as carefully as you can, maneuver the pole close to the animal's mouth, which can be really difficult to do because there's a lot of competition from other fishes. Required surface pole feeding to reduce potential for collisions with other fishes and to accurately record food intake. Within a month, young of the year white sharks became the most aggressive animals in the Outer Bay exhibit, and at all times would charge at other fishes if they came close to the feeding station. Predatory behavior was observed in 2 of the 5 white sharks that started feeding while the Outer Bay exhibit. During its final 5 weeks on display, shark number 4 fatally attacked 2 taupe sharks, Galerans galeus. See, this is amazing. These sharks will eat their tank mates, and this is a huge example. Consuming the caudal fin and caudal peduncle of one of the sharks. It should be noted that this food intake was not included in the calculations below, as the estimated weight amount. Shark number 401 was also observed chasing scalped hammerhead and Galapagos sharks prior to being released. White sharks chased scalped hammerhead and attacked a male Galapagos shark, which prompted aquarium staff to release the aggressor. No other predatory behavior by white sharks was observed by aquarium staff or verified by security cameras mounted on the exhibit, which recorded continuously to a digital video recorder. Hey Tim, welcome back. Good to see you, and this is a really cool moment to hop on. We're talking about shark husbandry today, or how to take care of sharks in public aquaria. And this is an interesting article on white sharks and how they're difficult to take care of, but also some of the nuances of why they're difficult. And it's kind of wild. So I keep thinking of that scene in Jurassic Park where they have the raptors and they're trying to in the first movie they try to put the raptors in the raptor pen, and then one gets aggressive and eats the guy, and then when they break out, it's a huge issue. It kind of makes me think of that because they captured these 6 young of the year white sharks, these 6 juvenile white sharks, and once they got comfortable with their surroundings, the white sharks became very aggressive to their tank mates and started eating them, and started attacking and harassing others, which is so interesting. So the most interesting thing had been they've been charging the feeding stations. At first, the white sharks were kind of shy, and they had to be manually fed with these baited poles. But then as they got more comfortable in their surroundings and they got bigger, and like not huge, but like bigger, they started kind of like being more aggressive towards other fishes, going to the food source, and then they killed two smaller sharks, like the what was it, taupe sharks? Which ones did they killed? Hold on. They charged Galapagos shark, charged scalped hammerhead shark. They ate. There we go. Taupe sharks. So fatally attacked two taupe sharks, Galeorinus galeus, which prompted aquarium staff to release some of them. So it's kind of amazing. Like, this is what goes into why white sharks are very difficult to keep in aquaria. Is that energy-wise, they are very active, and a tank is very confined. But also, they don't get along with their tank mates very well, or their tank mates are in peril, which is so interesting. Let's see. 4 sharks showed a strong feeding preference for. This is probably some kind of fish. Let's see. I'm just kind of skimming through this because there's so many cool articles about shark husbandry, so I want to make sure we get to a couple of them. Let's see. Feeding rotation. So these are all different white sharks in the tank. So one of them, there were 6 originally. One of them died, perhaps due to capture stress. And actually, I wonder if I can find out. I mean, if I type in mortality, I'm probably going to get a lot of. Yeah, let's see. Oh, here we go. No, that's not going to be it. So we'll just go back to the white shark article. I was wondering if they would kind of talk about why the white shark, the first white shark passed away or expired, but here, we'll go back down to. Okay, so we were here. There we go. Okay, Young of the Year white shark displayed in 2008 fed only once during its 11 days. It was on display. It was released after this period due to health concerns. The shark fed in the ocean pen, and then, although adjusted to the Outer Bay exhibit very well, only consumed about 400 grams of fish. Let's see. Okay. The white shark. So I'm just going to skip ahead to conclusions, but just for time. But the white shark is a difficult species to display for a variety of reasons, not least of which includes a significant time and financial investment of capturing, holding in the field, and transporting these animals. Once a healthy white shark is on display, individual differences in behavior further complicate husbandry efforts. So that's actually extremely cool, because white sharks have been noted to be arguably the most intelligent shark, or at least one of the most intelligent sharks. And the theory is because they hunt very complicated prey items in the form of seals, where seals, are a prey item that spends half its time in the ocean, half its time on land. They're very agile and unpredictable in their movements. It requires a little bit more development, like a little bit more brain development to kind of calculate how to hunt this animal, like how to predict it, how to find it, and how to make sense of the surroundings that seals occupy. So white sharks are one of the few sharks that is also known to spy hop. So they'll poke their heads up on the surface and kind of look around, trying to see if they can get a good glimpse of seals on the rocks, which is so cool. White sharks will use, I think I talked about this before, but white sharks will use the shadows of sunset, the glare of sunset, where as the sun is setting on the water, a white shark will make sure it's oriented with the sun behind it, so that a seal, if it's looking in the white shark's direction, can't see it, which is terrifying. So they're really smart animals, and personality or differences in behavior in individuals can perhaps arguably be a sign of intelligence, which is really interesting. So I love this note that individual differences in behavior further complicate husbandry efforts. In short, it means they're not easily predictable. Like other sharks or other fishes might be more easy to predict in captivity than white sharks, which is so interesting. So yeah. However, our experience of the species has provided a better understanding of appropriate general husbandry practices, as well as the metabolism, feeding and growth rates, and energetic demands of this highly active endothermic species. Quantifying these biological parameters in aquaria has also informed research methods, which, in conjunction with technological advances in the field of physiological telemetry, have further elucidated the high energetic demands of a species in the wild. This research is a crucial mechanism to better understand the biology of and needed conservation efforts for this top-level predator. So, really, really cool study, just in terms of like how these sharks behave in captivity and how they behave in general is so interesting. Tim, I've also heard they ram their snouts into the walls. So I'm not sure. They probably do, and the reason I say that is they can do ramming behavior, where white sharks have been observed in multiple studies to have a set of behaviors when they are feeding. So ramming is one of the behaviors. I think what is the other one? There's like a whole list of different behaviors, but ramming is one of them. And then the other thing that they do, to answer your question, is that they will actually, they're very inquisitive and they will actually bite boats. It's one of the very few sharks. Maybe, I almost want to say the only shark. I think some other sharks have attacked boats too, but they're one of the only sharks that can actually try to like eat like a part of a boat, which is so interesting. It sounds like something from the movie Jaws, but it's actually true. It's actually something that these sharks can do. So, in terms of aquarium walls, I would believe it. I have not heard that directly. If you mean the walls of the tank, like the glass walls, I'm not sure about that part. But I would believe it in the sense that they're pretty smart sharks, and they exhibit a variety of behaviors that some other sharks don't, which is kind of interesting. So yeah, not. I don't have a full answer, but I think in general, since they're known to exhibit a variety of behaviors, including ramming in general, and then like biting objects that are not prey items, like boat holes, or I've seen not seen firsthand, but seen a clip of a white shark biting like a boat motor. It's just, I could believe it. So I was thinking about maybe accidental hits that damage their snouts, maybe, and very possibly too. So a lot of animals, unfortunately, in a tank will kind of bump into the glass. So the cutest one I've ever seen is a manatee, and manatees, I'm pretty sure they do well in captivity just because their lifestyle is naturally so I don't want to say like lackadaisical, but those animals live in very shallow water, so they could be found in shallow creeks or rivers in Florida. But manatee, like I've seen a manatee at I forget if this was Moat or if this was it's like it was like the Florida. I have to look this up. It's 1 second. But there was a manatee that bumped into the glass. But manatees are very squishy, so it's like when the manatee is swimming slowly toward the glass, it just squishes its whole face. It's like a pug. It just like its snout and its face just completely squishes, and it's okay. It's not hurt because its fat is absorbing the impact. So it's very, very cute. Because I used to live near Anna Maria Island in Bradenton. So Bradenton, Anna Maria Island, Palmetto area, and I know there's like a museum here that has manatees in it. What the heck is it? Oh, maybe it's not there anymore. aquarium. The oh, the Bishop Museum of Science and Nature. So we're gonna find that. So this is kind of a small to mid-size place, but it's actually pretty interesting. Here we go. So the Parker Manatee Rehabilitation Exhibit. So this is a pretty cool. There we go. A pretty cool program that they have. The manatees are adorable, and again, they just squish into the wall sometimes. Um, Meet our manatees. Aw, yeah. These are such gentle animals. They're so cool. They actually, believe it or not, they can book it. They can swim very, very fast. Because if they get scared, they can actually like really, really move in the water very, very quickly. But most of the time, they're very lackadaisical little animals, or not little animals. They're huge. So I've been in the water. It's funny. I've been in the water with a manatee before, and I didn't know it. I was snorkeling in a seagrass bed in Florida, and I stood up to just kind of adjust my mask, and then this huge shape just rocketed out of nowhere, and it was a manatee that I accidentally scared. And it's a shame because I really wish I saw it underwater because I just didn't know what was going on. There's also some really cool exhibits. So we have this Macedon. Oops, sorry, Macedon skeleton. So mammoths and mastodons used to live in North America. There we go. And we also have megalodon teeth. So Florida is actually a really, really popular location, specifically Venice Beach, for fossil shark teeth. So there's a great megalodon jaw display. So really cool place. But getting back to this is the first manual. Getting back to the second edition of the Shark Husbandry Manual. This one also caught my eye. Notes on the husbandry of whale sharks, Rhynchodon typus and Aquaria. So there's only a few aquariums in the world that can hold whale sharks. So Georgia Aquarium is the one here, but I think there are a couple in Japan, and it looks like this is it. The Okinawa Churayumi Aquarium. Let's see if we can pull that up. Okinawa. There we go. So that's a gorgeous looking whale shark actually. Looks like it's in great condition too. Lower caudal fin looks a little bit damaged, but other than that, the coloration looks good. The size, it looks like a great whale shark actually. Gorgeous, gorgeous view here. A little bit of damage. Well, actually no, it's hard to tell. I think the pelvic fin is okay. Yeah, that lower caudal fin doesn't look as good, but the rest of the shark looks really, really good. So manta rays, unless it's a devil ray, depends on the size. This is so cool. Wonder if we can. In case you missed it, Tim, I do want to show a little bit of the whale shark tank. Galleries and exhibits. Or actually, we'll just do featured species. We'll just go back through whale shark. There we go. Ocean Voyager live cam. Yeah, in case you missed it, we saw this earlier. So there's an awesome live cam of this tank with the whale shark in the Georgia Aquarium. So this is also it's interesting to kind of see this individual. I see a little bit of damage on its caudal peduncle actually. And the upper lobe of the caudal fin looks a little not so great, but the sandbar sharks in the bottom of the tank look good. But I put the live cam links at the top of the stream, just because I feel like they're so cool. Seeing the first exhibit has the whale shark, and the second exhibit has all these other shark species, including sand tigers, sandbars, silver tip sharks, and allegedly a tiger shark, which we didn't really see. So. Um, I'm gonna see if the whale shark makes one more pass. And he probably will. It looks like he is, or she. I have to check, but yeah, it looks like this individual is making a pass close to camera again. Beautiful spotted eagle ray from on the left, going right in the middle of the frame, and then here's the whale shark coming into full view. So beautiful shark. Looks. I will say the condition looks a little off. The dorsal fins look a little droopy, and the swimming posture looks a little different too. And it's like this is the largest shark in the world, and it's very, very difficult to take care of the species. So just because of the size. So I'm excited. I'm very interested in learning about what goes into taking care of a whale shark. And it looks like most of the contributions for this paper are from the Okinawa Churayumi Aquarium in Japan. I don't think I see any notes from the Georgia Aquarium, so here we go. The whale shark, Rhynchodon typus, is the largest fish in the world, yet individuals have been successfully kept in aquaria for over 18 years at the Okinawa Churayumi Aquarium. Using morphometric data from entangled and stranded whale sharks, an allometric equation was developed to estimate total length using the more readily obtainable pre-first dorsal fin length. Estimated total length using the allometric equation was in strong agreement with the field measurements of living whale sharks. This allometric method for total length estimation allows accurate tracking and growth rate in whale sharks and is useful for biological surveys and husbandry applications. So it's actually a really cool kind of note about one of the benefits of public aquariums is that you can observe sharks closely on a daily basis, and with that you can get information like this where you can get growth estimates that you can corroborate with individuals in the wild and kind of see how they line up and get a better understanding of life history. So there are really good benefits of public aquaria for sharks. Wow. Let's see. Although it is well established that the whale shark is the world's largest living elasmobranch, their maximum size and size of maturity has not been definitively established. Let's see. The largest individual measured, a male from Bombay, India, was 12.2 meters in total length. So to equate that, that is 40 feet in length. Like, largest shark in the world is 40 feet long. That's really, really incredible. And as an equivalent or a comparison, hold on. Okay. So, things that you can compare a whale shark to: a fully grown, like not fully grown, but like the largest whale shark recorded is the size of a city bus, or a semi-trailer truck, or a 40-foot shipping container, a juvenile humpback whale, or a fully grown T-Rex. So those are the equivalents of the largest whale shark in the world, which is really, really incredible to think about. So it's a true giant. The heaviest body mass on record for a whale shark is 16,000 kilos, which from a 10 point, so from half the size of the largest whale shark ever. Oh, I'm not sorry, not half the size, but close to the size of the largest living whale shark. 16,000 kilograms, which is incredible. Techniques for the care and scientific observation of whale sharks, which have been maintained in the Okinawa Churayumi Aquarium since 1980, have been continuously refined and improved as our knowledge of animal biology and husbandry practices has grown. Let's see. Here we present information on the capture, transport, and husbandry procedures used for whale sharks at the Okinawa Churayumi Aquarium. We also propose simple, precise formulas to estimate the total length and body mass of whale sharks using an allometric equation that extrapolates from measurements of key morphological features of the shark. Let's see. Since 1980, whale sharks have been rescued from adverse situations and transported to Okinawa Churayumi Aquarium. Of these animals, 31 individuals were accidentally caught in a set fishing nets along the coast of Okinawa. The other two individuals were stranded on the coast or in the port and were rescued by aquarium staff. Most incidences occurred in the summer from May to August, and about 70% of animals were retrieved from water 24 to 28 degrees Celsius. The condition of each individual varied. Some were weak and exhibited hypophagia and poor physical condition, while others suffered from the effects of low water temperature, infection, or accidental ingestion of foreign substances. Not all whale sharks caught in set nets were transported to the aquarium. After taking detailed measurements and tissue biopsies, some sharks were tagged and released. A shipping container designed for transporting whale sharks was used to transfer animals from the set net to a sea pen. The containment vessel had holes at the front or interior end, and seawater flowed into the container when towed. The inside dimensions of the container were 2.3 by 7.4 by 1.7 meters high. That's really kind of small. And it contained a double hinge gate at the rear to provide easy access. Before taking whale sharks aboard, a sedative was administered to make the shark easier to manage. Once the shark was inside a container until it was measured, injected with a microchip for ID, and a blood sample was taken. While the shipping container was towed towards the sea pen, staff members observed the animal's respiration rate and monitored dissolved oxygen concentration inside the container. Offshore net enclosures or sea pens were used to acclimatize whale sharks to aquarium conditions. The sea pens are 20 to 30 by 10 meters deep. That's comparable to the way the white sharks were captured. So how the white sharks were held before going to the Monterey Aquarium in California. So, Tim, great question. How does captivity affect lifespan? So, fantastic question. And it can go... I think it depends on the species. It can go two different ways. So this is a really, really good question. So it depends on the species. The benefit of captivity is that the sharks in captivity have a constant supply of food, are monitored and spared a lot of environmental threats in the sense that they don't get predated by other animals, so that's good. Less risk of having... It's weird. It's like less risk of parasitology, so less exposure to parasites. I'm trying to think. Less exposure to... I mean, obviously, like pollution or fishing from... or other kinds of human impact. So in that sense, that improves lifespan. The fact that in an aquarium setting, these animals are, spared a lot of the risks that occur in the wild, and are given a constant supply of food and are actively monitored. So that increases lifespan. On the flip side, it depends on the species, but you can make a good argument that a captive individual isn't really quite getting everything it needs. Sharks in particular. Sharks are very large animals. Like even small sharks, they're very large animals compared to other kinds of fish. And they're also typically, it depends on the species, but a lot of them are very highly migratory. So they have enormous range compared to other kinds of animals. And with that, when you think about the shark being confined in a small tank, it probably has an adverse impact on its health. On top of that, you have to ask, is it getting everything it needs as far as like the chemistry of the seawater, nutrition in terms of a shark in the wild can source from a varied diet. or like eat things that are not on a set fixed menu. It can find food items from different corners of its environment to you know kind of help what it facilitate what it naturally needs. And I don't know. I feel like there are some adverse effects of captivity overall. And you see it in the condition of some sharks, where some sharks just have fin rot. Another thing about captivity, as far as an adverse effect, is you can develop some unique tank conditions. Like fin rot is a unique condition where fish have it and sharks can have it, but it's kind of like this decay of like their snout or their dorsal fins. It's some kind of weird. I don't know what causes it, but it is a fairly. I don't want to say it's common, but it is a fairly well-known condition that a lot of confined animals, experience. So, and you'll see it in like not so good aquariums. So if you see a shark with kind of like droopier fins or just abrasions on the snout, it's a sign that the captivity, like the care or the husbandry, is not quite up to the same standard. Because there's some aquariums that take amazing care of their sharks, and you can tell just in terms of the coloration is very bright and vibrant. They're very active swimmers. They don't have those characteristic features. And I will say, Moat Marine Lab did a phenomenal job with their sandbar sharks. They're really really good looking. Last time I was there, but like they look great. They're huge animals that have like really really great proportions, strong coloration, very active. So you can tell the difference. So overall, I mean, I guess it depends on the aquarium. It depends on the shark, and it's weird. It's kind of like it's a trade off in a weird way. Overall, I think as a trend, Aquaria extends a shark's lifespan because there's on average the estimates for a shark's lifespan in the wild are lower than the shark's lifespan on captivity, but it depends on the species, right? When you look at which shark was I researching? Oh, really good question. I honestly have in a second, but when you look at, I'm trying to think of a good example, and I don't have my book with me. Shoot, I was reading about a shark that had a longer lifespan in captivity than the wild, and I want to say it's not a sharp-nosed shark because I don't see those in captivity too often. Shoot, I want to say it might be a sandbar shark, but I'm not entirely sure. So we'll just say sandbar shark is an example of a shark that lasts longer in captivity than the wild. But on the flip side, white sharks obviously last much, much longer in the wild. These animals can be like 20 or 30 years old in the wild, and they last only months to a year in captivity. So it really just depends on the species. So. Really great question. Not to anthropomorphize, but do sharks get depressed in captivity from not being able to swim freely? So really cool question. I would say no, and I'm gonna spend more time on this because I think it's a fantastic question. Because I look at sharks really differently from. They're very different from other kinds of animals, and I think sharks are very intelligent in a sensory way, or they're very attuned to their environment. Maybe not intelligent, but I'm going to say they're very attuned to their environment in a sensory way, where they're just like a master of senses, in the sense that sharks can detect sounds from far away, can smell a drop of blood in water, like in gallons of seawater, can electromagnetically sense their surroundings or feel vibrations of water. They're incredible animals, and in that sense, they're very. I shouldn't use the word pure, but they're very purely connected to their environment. And in that sense, they're not like. It's kind of like IQ versus EQ. They're very, and that doesn't even work. I'm trying to find a good analogy, because it's like. Whales are cerebral. Like, cetaceans are very cerebral animals, and cetaceans do get depressed into captivity. Like whales demonstrably do not do well in captivity, just because, and they actually feel emotions. Like whales actually do feel depression or feel some kind of isolation or like they have behavioral issues in a captive setting. So the famously, of course, is orca whales in SeaWorld, or any kind of marine park. But there's a really good movie called Blackfish. Yeah, I think it's Blackfish. Let me double check that. It's a really good documentary on orcas in captivity. Yes, Blackfish. So, and I think Tilikum was the one the individual orca whale Tilikum was the one that documentary was about. But uh, th- highly recommend it. It's a very hard watch, but I definitely recommend it to kind of better understand how whales do in captivity, and the fact that whales they do feel and they can. I would say it's very easy to say that whales, like dolphins and whales, maybe even other kinds of marine mammals, but definitely dolphins and whales. I think it's very fair to say they feel anxiety, depression, they act out. They do not like captive settings, and they have an emotional response to captive settings. Sharks, I would not say that, just because they're just such different animals and they're wired so differently. Where they're not they're not it's hard because I don't want to say they're not cerebral, because they're just like these amazing like such well attuned animals for their environments, but they just don't conceptualize the world the same ways that whales do. So interesting. So and this is where it gets tricky. So this is a great follow up question. So maybe social animals get depressed, but solitary animals like sharks don't. It's a really great question because some sharks are social, which is really interesting. So some sharks will have a set of social behaviors where the common one is social hierarchy, where sharks will kind of yield individuals who yield to other individuals or follow other individuals. They have a pattern. Famously, bonnethead sharks. The large females of a group of bonnethead sharks will be the ones who dominate that group of bonnetheads. They're going to be the ones who kind of lead the pattern behavior. So younger bonnethead sharks or male bonnethead sharks will follow female bonnethead sharks around the tank, or younger bonnethead sharks and male bonnethead sharks will yield to females in the bonnethead tank. So there's kind of a social behavior going on there. White sharks are very, very social, where they definitely have distinct interactions with each other, where some white sharks will kind of be very territorial with each other and block each other out of set hunting grounds. If a white shark sees another white shark and kind of has a perception that white shark is competing for the same resource, they will definitely go at it. And then I've heard of coordinated hunting. So, yeah. Oh, great question. So are social sharks harder to keep in captivity? So this is where, and I love this because this is just biology. There's so many asterisks. So a white shark is a social shark, and it is very hard to keep in captivity. But a bonnethead shark is also a social shark, but that one's actually easy to keep in captivity comparatively. So it's really interesting. It just depends on the species. So I think to kind of like wrap it all up comprehensively, I would say I would not characterize sharks in captivity as being depressed. I think you can characterize sharks in captivity being denied some of their natural biology, in the sense that they're highly migratory animals, and a lot of the migrations they're driven by water temperature or changes in water temperature. There's aggregations for mating, and if a shark is not experiencing those things and not attuned to those things, it just might be a little strange, I guess. But I don't think the shark conceptualizes depression or conceptualizes like sadness. I think, and I could be wrong, but I think just kind of like how sharks operate, and just sort of like, they're not the same as whales or cetaceans or humans. Like it's just different in terms of like how they relate to their environment, which I think is so interesting. Um, so I think as far as like depressiveness goes, I think sharks are not really going to feel that. But what's interesting is that sharks, depending on the species, and I'm thinking of white sharks specifically, they do display a variety of behaviors, and some white sharks are very shy, some white sharks are very bold. So, yeah, really, that's true. So lawyers and sharks are alike. It's true. Like it depends. It's like that's really the answer to a lot of these questions, and unfortunately, both fortunately and unfortunately, that's really just a common theme for biology. Is like you have these rules, but then there's an exception that always occurs. So even at the fundamental level, is like define life. Like what is a life form? And at first you think that's a easy definition in terms of like this is a thing that maybe can reproduce or has its own internal metabolism, blah blah blah. But then you get to these weird things like viruses. Like viruses are not alive, right? Like it's you get into these weird gray zones and these weird exceptions. And viruses are a great example where they're this thing that they're not alive, but they're pretty lively. Like so. Yeah, it's just interesting. There's always exceptions to things. So yeah, I would say so to wrap it all up. I would personally not characterize sharks in captivity as being able to experience depressive feelings. I don't think they would feel that. I think physiologically they would perhaps feel kind of denied, and not like in an internalized sense, but just kind of they're not experiencing their natural environment, and so I think that could manifest in different behaviors that seem a little weird or like I don't know. But it's not. I would not internalize it as I would not call that or characterize that as like an internalized depression or sadness. I don't think a shark in a tank is sad per se, but I do think it's not experiencing what it has evolved to experience as far as like, and the big thing being migration. It's like these sharks are evolved to migrate. They're evolved to be seasonal. They're evolved, at least the sharks on the east coast of the U.S. They're very, very seasonal animals. So, so per that, I don't think there's a difference between social and, or I'm sorry, per that, to your second question, I would not characterize all sharks as solitary. Some are, but some are not. Some are very social. I would say, as an extension of your question, cerebral animals, you can say cerebral animals get depressed. And this would be like primates and cetaceans especially. So primates and cetaceans, maybe even octopi, believe it or not. But definitely primates and cetaceans. These are highly intelligent animals that, probably can feel that. And then I think the difficulty of sharks in captivity, it's not really related to their socialness. It's more each individual species is just very, very different. So bonnetheads are easy and they're social. White sharks are hard and they're social. And yes, lawyers and sharks are alike. So as far as just, it's so many exceptions. So, but really good questions. I really, really, really like this tangent because it's very, 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 very good questions relating to just what makes a shark, and not just their evolutionary biological definition, but also just like how does a shark experience the world, and how does that differ from the way like a whale experiences the world, and they're very, very different kinds of animals, which is so interesting. What's funny, when I was a kid, I used to kind of feel bad, or not bad, but kind of defensive of sharks, where, whales were, such intelligent animals, and, unfortunately, sharks have been characterized in literature as like dumb, and I used to feel so defensive about it. I was like, no, they're not dumb. They're not like stupid animals. They're so much more than that. And as I learned more about the sharks and kind of grown with sharks, I'm happy to say that you really can't call them dumb or stupid because they're so plugged into the ocean in a way that a lot of animals are not, and it's different from the way that whales perceive the environment, because whales might be intelligent, but sharks, in terms of their sensory perception, in terms of the fact that they can feel the water, they can feel the electromagnetic senses in the world, they're just apex predators and master hunters. They're just very like, it's almost like a master martial artist, where it's not perhaps a cerebral thing per se, but it's just this instinctive awe, like this real like impressive attunedness to your surroundings, and that's really the you know the what's the word, the pinnacle of sharks, just or the what's the word? I'm trying to find the right word of that, but like that's the superlative of sharks. There you go. The superlative of sharks is that just innate harmony with their surroundings is so cool, and it's like my conclusion as an adult is that sharks are sharks and whales, in the sense that whales have their own incredible set of skills and the sharks have their own incredible set of skills, and they're both equally amazing animals. They're just different in terms of like how they relate to their world, and they're superlatives in their own way. So it's just it's really cool to kind of think about it like that. So I forgot where we left off. Oh, we were talking about sea pens and transporting whale sharks. So once acclimatized, whale sharks are transported to the Okinawa Chiriyumi Aquarium and transferred to the Kuroshio tank, which is 10 meters deep. So really cool. Fun fact: 10 meters is the depth limit of red light. So in natural settings, red light only penetrates to 10 meters of water and then stops. So like you have all full sunlight, like white light at the surface, and it breaks apart as light goes deeper and deeper into the water. The red light wavelength stops at 10 meters, but the other colors like orange, yellow, green, and blue continue. So 10 meters deep is like the full spectrum of color, and beyond 10 meters, the colors start to fade, which is kind of cool to think about. But the Kuroshio tank contains seawater supplied at a rate of 2,000 cubic meters an hour. Water temperature of the tank was about 21 to 28 degrees Celsius, so it's very, very warm. Let's see. I'm not going to read the details. I kind of want to see more of the conclusion and notes on just how you take care of whale sharks. So we're talking about how they measure them and how they measure the growth. Two species of frozen krill were provided as food for the whale sharks at the Okinawa Chiriyumi Aquarium. Some additional food items were added or replaced depending on the season. For example, Japanese anchovy and sakura shrimp. Whale sharks were fed about 1% of their body mass a day. Okay. So these are kind of more details of whale sharks in terms of like what they consume and their body mass in relation to that. So I thought this would be more notes on whale shark care, but this is really, and it is whale shark care, but this is kind of more details on just body mass and growth. So I think we'll kind of keep moving just because I think it's so interesting. This is why I'm afraid to swim in the ocean. I'm convinced every shark is smart enough to know I'm an easy meal. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's I'm gonna star that. Love that comment. What's funny is I was in New Jersey last weekend I was supposed to go scuba diving, but the weather it was a mix of like storms and the wildfires, or the Canadian wildfires and the smoke coming down to the U.S. We had to cancel the dive, sadly. But I was able to snorkel that spot the next day, and I'm going to go back to the dive site in a couple weeks just to really give it a good try, just because it's a really cool site. But it's in Manasquan Inlet. But what's funny is that site is extremely close to where the Jersey Shore shark attacks occurred in the early 1900s. And there were some. The water was clear, but there were some like murky parts where it's like I would be snorkeling and I just kind of see this like endless green and this like drop off into deep water, and I'm thinking like, I don't want to meet a bull shark today. I don't want to run into a bull shark right now. It was a little freaky. It was a great sight. I saw some otters actually, some river otters. So which I was not expecting to see. Like of all the things that would be in a tidal creek, or a tidal inlet, I did not expect to see river otters. So that was a lot of fun. But yeah, like. Had a little moment where it's just like, this is a little creepy. Just like murky water. It's summer. I mean, it wasn't like murky, but it was like you can't see super, super far, and just like it's scary. It's like if you're in a murky environment like that, and it's scary. So, just your comment reminded me of that, where I was safe, just in case my wife is watching. I was safe. I was doing safe things. I was being responsible and sticking very close to the shore, but yeah, murky environment, not fun. And as far as sensory intelligence, bull sharks are very, very, very honed in, and so yeah, very, very scary overall, just in terms of just imagining what can happen. But we're alive. We're okay. We are doing fine. So. I really hope my wife is not watching right now, because that would be... She probably is. Anyway, husbandry of the tiger shark Gallicerdo Cuvier at the Aquario de Veracruz, Mexico. So, improved husbandry techniques at the Aquario de Veracruz have led to the successful long-term display of adult tiger sharks, Gallicerdo Cuvier. So, speaking of bull sharks, tiger sharks are a very large predatory species. Bull sharks... I've heard of an aquarium before, but I've never heard of tiger sharks in an aquarium before. So I'm really fascinated by the fact that you can keep a tiger shark in captivity. A large exhibit volume, greater than 900 cubic meters, rockwork on perimeter walls, a diverse diet, targeted pole feedings, and a high feeding ration, up to 2% body mass, are essential for managing... I got a text that my wife is watching. Oh gosh. I'm sorry. I'm safe in the water. Oh my goodness. I'm safe. A large exhibit volume, diverse diet, targeted pole feedings, high feeding ration are essential for managing the swim behavior and energy requirements of this pelagic species. So this is actually really cool that for a large predatory sharks like tiger sharks, it's kind of like fueling the furnace. It's you have to keep feeding it, but it sounds like more aggressively than other kinds of animals in the tank, which is pretty interesting. Diverse diet is also a really interesting note, because tiger sharks are famously like the garbage cans of the ocean. They eat everything, a huge varied diet, including things that just shouldn't be there. I think the weirdest thing I've heard a tiger shark eat is like pigs, I want to say. And there's like the famous thing like suits of armor and license plates, but I think I know. Look, hold on, I had to think about that. Or maybe it was bull sharks that were eating pigs. I've heard of sharks eating pigs. Maybe the weirdest thing in general is reindeer. Greenland sharks eat reindeer, which is kind of wild to think about. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it's tiger sharks that are known to eat pigs. They eat sea turtles, they eat birds, they eat everything. Following a long-term exhibition within an aquarium, successful release of an adult male tiger shark, about 3 meters, that's huge, that's about 9 feet to 10 feet, into the Gulf of Mexico was achieved and verified with pop-up satellite archival tags. Data from the PSAT, or pop-up satellite archival tag, indicated behavior consistent with a healthy wild tiger shark during a period of 90 days post-release. So really, really interesting um, uh, premise. I'm really excited, or abstract. I'm really excited to read the whole thing. So, and it's actually really cool that we started this manual with how to take care of white sharks, and they're just so difficult, and they're quickly released thereafter. So it's kind of cool to read about the second most dangerous shark species. And honestly, I personally think white sharks, bull sharks, tiger sharks, and white tip sharks, oceanic white tips they're all in the same tier of danger, if you will. But it's kind of interesting to see that the first article is about white shark husbandry. The second article, or the third article, is about tiger shark husbandry. So it's also kind of cool to read these pieces on large sharks, where I think it's easy to, I shouldn't say it's easy to forget, but we often talk about the whale shark and the basking shark as the large sharks of the world, but really the club of large sharks is pretty small, and also includes the white shark and the tiger shark. These are all superlative species in their own right, so it's kind of interesting to read about husbandry for very, very large sharks, like exceptionally large sharks. So, like tiger sharks, megamouths, whale sharks, basket sharks, white sharks, I would say seven-gill sharks, and Greenland sharks. Those are, and great hammerheads. And that might be it. Those are, it's the club of large sharks. It's not that many species, really. So, but here we go. During the past few decades, interest in maintaining the tiger shark in aquaria for public display has increased dramatically. As a result, 20 institutions around the world, including one zoo and 19 aquariums, have exhibited this species. What? The display longevity of tiger sharks has increased from just 60 days in the 1960s to the present record of nearly 8 years, recorded at the Aquario de Veracruz. Increased tiger shark longevity in aquaria has been achieved through technological advances in exhibit design and a better understanding of the biology of the lazarbanks, both in situ and in human care. However, the husbandry of tiger sharks continue to present challenges predominantly related to their swim behavior, difficulty feeding, and behavioral variability between individuals. So that's similar to white sharks. Like, white sharks have a variety of behaviors depending on the individual, and it's cool to see with tiger sharks, same thing. Tiger sharks in aquaria commonly swim against bare concrete exhibit walls, areas devoid of rockwork, which causes abrasions on the leading edge of the pectoral and caudal fins. These injuries may promote bacterial or fungal infections, which, if not treated, can lead to anorexia and even death in the species. Feeding tiger sharks in community exhibits is challenging and requires a heightened level of aquarius attention and effort. Tiger sharks in aquaria may be outcompeted for food by other dominant lazarbank species, large teleosts, and even sea turtles, which are typically prey for this species in the wild. Wow, that is a reversal of fortune. That's kind of funny that, in a kind of a sick way, that sea turtles outcompete tiger sharks for food. Yikes. Individual tiger sharks show a high degree of interspecific variability and adaptability to aquaria. Despite current best practices, some tiger sharks do not adapt well to aquaria, while others thrive, maintaining good health and living for long periods on display. This chapter summarizes data from 9 tiger sharks maintained at the Aquario de Veracruz from 1992 to 2013. Although further husbandry improvements are required to advance the successful exhibition of tiger sharks, we present methods that have allowed the Aquario de Veracruz to substantively improve display longevity for the species. It is hoped that this information may prove useful for other aquaria interested in displaying this challenging but alluring species. Capture protocols were revised in 2008, and newly acquired tiger sharks were introduced directly into the exhibition aquarium from the wild. Animals were transferred from the boat to the aquarium via shark stretcher and hoist. Specimens were given a prophylactic buffered freshwater bath to remove ectoparasites. So that's actually really cool. So the reason why I'm highlighting this is that one thing I do love about spending any time in salt water is that when you clean off, it's very... let me phrase this. When you go from land to saltwater as a human being, just spend a day at the beach, you feel exfoliated, and you feel refreshed. And part of that is the seawater is killing, just bacteria or stuff, on your skin. And then likewise, if you clean off, the fresh water is killing saltwater stuff off if it's on your body. When I come back from diving, I always have to clean my gear to make sure there's not anything, saltwater related, and saltwater itself can be a little bit damaging if the gear is left unwashed. So I think it's really cool that just simple chemistry of freshwater and how it interacts with saltwater organisms. Like, freshwater can kill saltwater organisms. Saltwater likewise can kill freshwater organisms. And so it's kind of interesting to see this little sentence about how a freshwater bath helps remove ectoparasites from a tiger shark, which is a saltwater animal. So just cool little note, just like basic water chemistry can have a pretty powerful impact. It's so interesting. Sharks were then temporarily moved into a holding tank adjacent to the main exhibit for hook removal and measurement of total length. Occasionally, sharks would rest on the bottom of the tank during this procedure. In these cases, divers would walk the shark to assist in specimen recuperation. If the shark showed limited response to the walking procedure, it was left to rest on the bottom of the tank until it began to swim on its own, at which point it was moved to the exhibit proper. The period of time that sharks rested on the bottom of the exhibit ranged from 2 to 12 hours. Sharks were considered to have successfully acclimatized to the exhibit at onset of feeding, which generally occurred 2 to 15 days post-introduction. This is so interesting. So it's kind of cool to imagine tiger sharks resting on the bottom, because I don't know if you call them buccal pumper species. I've seen photographs of tiger sharks sitting on the seabed, but I mean, I'm used to those sharks swimming pretty actively, so it's kind of interesting. We have observed that tiger sharks are resilient to capture and transport stress in comparison with other corcoran sharks. I love this note because I have heard anecdotally from divers that tiger sharks are kind of like, they're a little dopey in behavior. They're kind of like big puppies. Like, they're very lackadaisical in their approach, which is kind of interesting. I'm curious if there's a kind of a overlap between that and their resilience to capture and transport stress. It's kind of interesting. The majority of tiger sharks obtained by the Aquarium de Veracruz were collected opportunistically by artisanal fishers, many of whom had limited equipment or infrastructure to maintain the sharks. These fishers had limited knowledge of advanced transport methods used for larger lazarbrinks. Let's see. Sharks were captured on long line sets and transported in flooded compartments near the bow or small panga-type boats with outboard motors. I'm just kind of skim through this because this is talk about shark capture. Sharks were allowed to adapt to the semi-captive environment of the pen for 2 to 8 months before being transported to the aquarium for display. When the Aquarium de Veracruz first displayed tiger sharks, they were maintained in the Reef exhibit, a donut-shaped aquarium of 1250 cubic meters in volume. It was observed that tiger sharks did not flourish in this aquarium, and a purpose-built exhibit to better accommodate the biology of the species was constructed. Tiger sharks at the Aquarium de Veracruz were thereafter maintained in a purpose-built kidney-shaped multi-species shark exhibit, 26 meters by 16 meters by 4.5 meters deep, or 919 meters in cubic volume, with black painted concrete walls. Artificial rockwork reefs had a low profile, providing adequate space for the sharks to swim above. Low-relief fiberglass rockwork panels were hung along the concrete walls to keep the tiger shark from rubbing against the smoother perimeter of the exhibit. These panels were movable, allowing flexibility for adjustment of the observed swim behavior of individual sharks. Exhibit lighting to simulate daytime consisted of 9 250-watt LED lamps, while night lighting consisted of 3 250-watt LED lamps. The exhibit had 2 main viewing windows and an acrylic tunnel. An immersive educational shark program was in operation where visitors, enclosed within a protective acrylic box, were lowered into the center of the exhibit. That's really cool. That's what I thought. I just saw your comment, Tim. Aren't tiger sharks obligate ram? I'm pretty sure they are. So, and if they are, if a tiger shark sitting on the bottom is not good. That's a sign of a deeply unhealthy individual. I do want to check out the Aquarium de Veracruz. Here we go. I clicked on this before. Oh yeah, so this is. I was pulling up accredited AZA accredited zoos and aquariums, and this is one of them. Association of Zoos and Aquariums. I wonder if I can find tiger shark programs in conservation, or let's see, education. I keep seeing kind of like the same links. So maybe the tiger shark will show up in this preview video. Or not. Oh. Oh, there's a little baby otter, green sea turtle, beautiful reef fish, sandbar shark, gorgeous sandbar shark here, little jellyfish, huge manatee. It's kind of fun seeing like different snapshots of his aquarium, sawfish and tarpon. Little penguin getting some help. Nurse shark. Sawfish again. Oh, yeah, sorry, I'm just trying to... Yeah, okay, I'm just going to not touch it anymore. Because I think this website, the link is a little goofy. There we go. So this is a gorgeous looking aquarium, actually. Scarlet macaw. Really, really pretty. I think this might be the exhibit that they're talking about with the tiger sharks in it, but I'm not seeing them in the preview. Some gorgeous reef fish again. Back of house, little baby otter. There's the turtle again. Yeah, so it's just going to do that loop. Sandbar shark. This is the Shark Tank exhibit. So we got the sandbar sharks here, which look great. This is the glass acrylic box, which is so cool that you're lowered into. So what an exciting program. I still don't see the tiger sharks, though. Let's see. We'll do Aquarium de Puerto de Veracruz, Cerdo Cuvier. There we go. So Tiburon tigre, the tiger shark. So I'm probably not going to get a great picture of this, but here is the tiger shark in captivity. Alright. And I will say, it's looking a little wonky. I'm not going to lie. That's looking a little... You can kind of tell something's up. So I'm curious to read more in an article, but this is a male tiger shark. The lower caudal fin is very damaged. The upper caudal fin looks a bit rounded too. First dorsal fin doesn't look terrible, but looks a little droopy. And then something just seems a little kind of wonky, just like a little squashy and it could be the angle of the camera, but colors look not as vibrant as a wild tiger shark, so it looks a little strange. Um, yeah, this is a better example of this. So here we go. So this is a captive tiger shark. The first dorsal fin is very damaged. It's on its side. It almost looks like the head is compressed with the trunk. Um, this looks very different, and again, this is such a large shark, and it would be really difficult to house in captivity. Like conversely, here's a nurse shark that looks gorgeous. Like this nurse shark looks very very healthy. And they're two very different kinds of species. Here is a wild tiger shark, and man, you can tell the difference. Look at that. This wild tiger shark looks bright. It looks strong. It doesn't look squashy at all. It's very streamlined. The first dorsal fin is a broader base. Caudal fin looks sharp. Everything about this animal looks really like just sharp, clean, ready to go. So yeah, it's kind of it's a shame because that's very different from. Here's another example. It almost looks like this tiger shark might have some spinal deformity, and the captive sharks can have that. Some sand tiger sharks can very prominently display that, but it's just something about this. This just looks a little off. Just like the shape. The first dorsal fin looks a little wonky. There's not really that streamlinedness that we saw in the wild tiger shark photograph. Caudal fin looks a little damaged, so this is a good, and like, not to knock this aquarium, because again, this would be a very difficult species to take care of, and the history of the species in husbandry is very difficult. It's just this, as an example, the fact that these sharks used to last only 2 months in a tank, and now we've come to 8 years. It's a long way, and I think this kind of lines up with the history of taking care of the species overall. So, yeah. Tim, yes, a huge difference, even to nose eye. Yeah, yeah. So, or even to novice eye. Yep. And it's just, yeah. I appreciate you sharing that, because it's just like you can tell. And honestly, it's kind of like it might be hard to put into words, but just like you can kind of tell, like viscerally, if a shark is like looking not so great. It's just such a difference, like vibrancy, streamlinedness, strength, like that. That is a wild shark, or a shark that is taken very very good care of in an aquarium. Otherwise, if you see just like abrasions, sluggishness, just thing droopiness, like you can tell if a captive shark is just not getting what it needs. And the staff could be doing everything right per se, but it's just like the setting might be the thing that just the shark is not benefiting from. So, and actually in this article, it's kind of pointing that out, that prior exhibit designs weren't conducive for the shark's health, and they had to change it in order to better accommodate them. So, let's see. We were here about exhibit design. The exhibit was supplied with natural seawater. It was maintained as a semi-open system with a flow-through of 2.65 cubic meters per minute. So, kind of fun aquarium fact. There's an open system and a closed system. So an open system is an aquarium that is getting seawater directly. And a closed system it's all internally maintained. It's all just like recycled internal water that is clean, and like it doesn't necessarily need to be like recycle, but it's all a an isolated environment where there's no outside input whatsoever. System water. Oops. Oh, interesting. Okay. System water recirculated and processed by 2 protein skimmers, 4 mechanical filters, and 2 biological filters before returning to the exhibit via gravity flow. A 10% water exchange occurred each week. The regular life support system's maintenance and the exhibit was cleaned weekly by 2 divers. I do want to read these notes. I'm going to try to turn this without screwing everything up. Here we go. So this is so interesting. This is a summary of the tiger sharks they had in the tank. And each one's a little bit different. So here we go. We've got Delta, who's a female, and there's notes about temperament. So Delta adapted readily. She was an extrovert, occasionally aggressive, dominant towards conspecifics during feeding. So it's kind of cool to see that. Okay, is she the largest female? She's the largest female. So in the case of bonnethead sharks, large females tend to dominate. So it's interesting that Delta, the largest female in the tank, was also dominant in the tank. Virnes, who's a male, adapted well, non-aggressive. So he's the same size as Delta, female. Delta is dominant, which is pretty interesting. I speculate that could relate to sharks as far as any behavior in the wild, where female sharks tend to get larger than male sharks. And I wonder if the dominance relates to that, the fact that female sharks tend to achieve larger sizes than males, but I'm not sure. But it's interesting that the large female, Delta was the dominant shark, and Virens was non-aggressive comparatively. We have Beto, who's a male, adapted well, timid, opportunistic predation on juvenile conspecifics and some fish. So meaning that Benito tried to eat other sharks, which is interesting. We have Tito, who's a male, who is delicate, timid, aggressive, and self-defense. You have Isabel, who's a female, also delicate, timid, non-aggressive. You have Benito. Beto was a male. Benito was a male. Benito was an extrovert, occasionally aggressive, dominant towards conspecifics during feeding, adapted readily. Claudia is a female, delicate, timid, non-aggressive. Diego is a male, adapted readily, extrovert, non-aggressive. And then Patty was a female, delicate, timid, non-aggressive. So the delicate sharks are a mix of males and females, and the delicate sharks are timid, aggressive, and self-defense, timid, non-aggressive, timid, non-aggressive, timid, non-aggressive. The sharks that adapted well were a large male that was non-aggressive and another large male that was timid, opportunistic predation on juvenile conspecifics and fish. Finally, the sharks that did the best were extrovert, a large female extrovert, occasionally aggressive, dominant towards conspecifics during feeding. An extrovert, occasionally aggressive, dominant towards conspecifics during feeding, and then extrovert, non-aggressive. So it looks like the extroverted sharks did really well in the tank. The timid sharks did not. So right there, super, super interesting material. And unique observations relating to sharks in captivity, and that you could only really get from sharks in captivity unless you somehow were able to contrive a long-term survey. So, let's see. If a juvenile tiger shark was regularly outcompeted for food, it was removed from the exhibit and held in a separate pool until it was better able to integrate with the larger animal community. In the event of inappetence, force-feeding tiger sharks is not recommended. However, specimens should not be allowed to reach an advanced state of starvation, evidenced by a sunken ventrum, a loss of dorsal musculature, and the appearance of a disproportionately large head relative to the rest of the body. Wow. It's already almost 11, but how much is there on this article? Oh, man. Wow, there's so much, actually. Wow. I wonder if we should save this for next week, because there's so much material on sharks in captivity, and this tiger shark submission is actually huge. There's so much information on it, and I don't really want to rush through it. I actually would love to give it its proper due. It's getting late where I am right now, but maybe next week this might be a good topic to focus on. So as long along with like other aquarium articles, because already this has been a really fascinating field that is a different window into how sharks operate. So I love that we already see variations in the tiger sharks and how they behave. Um, yeah, I think this deserves its own episode. So I do kind of want to save this for next week if that sounds cool. So um, we will where was I? We'll stick with feeding right here. So I'm just gonna kind of leave this right here. Ah, sweet. Okay, so Tim agrees. Yes, please. Let's go over it in detail next week. So I think that sounds like a plan. But thank you so much for watching. This was a really fun episode, and this is a really interesting field to get into. We talk about fossils and living sharks and biodiversity a lot on our channel, but we never really go into the aquarium side of things. I like to focus on wild sharks, but this field is very interesting and offers new insights that we've never seen before on the stream. So I'm excited to learn more. I'm excited about what we've already learned, but I'm very excited to learn more next week. And we'll definitely continue tiger shark husbandry along with other shark care for next week. Well, thank you, Tim. I really appreciate that, of course. And thank you for being here tonight. It's been really fun answering your questions and kind of talking through it together. It's been really interesting. Compared to like sharks and whales and intelligence, it's so cool. But thank you all so much for watching, and tune in next week for more shark husbandry. But until then, I hope you have a great rest of your week and continue enjoying the summer. And I will see you next week for more notes on shark care. But cheers, guys. Have a good night. Bye.